Good afternoon, class. My name is Alan Amazola, and this is my informative speech on the topic of how global warming is impacting California. Did you know that California's coasts have seen an 8-inch rise in sea levels in the past century, with saltwater contaminating the state's water supply, as detailed by Bonta in a 2017 global warming article? In other words, the state's water is in a constant state of disrepair, from contaminated fresh water and record-setting droughts to rising sea levels, all caused by none other than human beings. Why should you believe me? After thorough research into this topic, I see myself as a credible source to inform you all of the dangers that we pose to our state every day by our actions, whether it be from gas vehicles or from deforestation practices. In this speech, we will discuss 3 main points: global warming's impact on California's current droughts, human acts and impacts on global warming, and global warming's effects on de-winding water supplies and rising sea levels in California. Alright, let's get into the speech. Although global warming has a number of effects on the country, and more specifically on California, record-setting droughts are the most notable impact. To start, the effects of global warming have caused record-setting droughts in California and across the country. This is shown through a 2015 study done by Deffenboog, Swan, and Tuma, who conclude that these droughts led to groundwater overdraft, low stream flow, wildfire risk, and obvious water shortages. And with California ranking first in the country in population, agriculture production, and economic activity, the effects on the nation as a whole can reach worrisome levels. Furthermore, California's increased susceptibility to these effects makes the issue of global warming all the more genuine. This is shown in researchers' analysis of California's historic vulnerability to drought. As stated by Deffenboog, when precipitation deflects combined with warm conditions, the chance for less rain in the following years spikes. But a major contributor to global warming, as well as our constant droughts, is human impact. According to Deffenboog 2015 study, emissions from production and gas-powered vehicles increase the likelihood of dry seasons. As you can see, it's all a cycle. Global warming drives California's vulnerability to droughts, which in turn affects the state's groundwater levels, increases wildfire risk, and shortens our overall water supply. What's revolting is that these effects are driven by none other than us human beings. Due to our industrial and technology motivations, if you don't believe that human acts are the cause of global warming and California's water struggles, perhaps the statistics of CO2 levels over the past many years will sway you. And an intriguing 2007 study done by Wang and Chemedize conveys this narrative through sheer numbers, recalling how atmospheric CO2 has risen from 280 parts per million to over 380 ppm per million since pre-industrial times. As you may know, CO2 is a huge contributor to greenhouse gases, the main culprit in the crime of global warming. Not only this, but Wang puts forth how this gradual rise in CO2 levels stems from burning of fossil fuels and forests, aka gas-powered appliances and deforestation. Lastly, the semi-recent study done by Wang points out how global temperatures have increased by nearly 1 degree Celsius since pre-industrial times, most of which occurred in the last few decades. And with unprecedented advances in technology, along with dependence on fossil fuels over the past few decades, it's apparent that we are the problem, as well as the potential solution for the problem. But above all else, the impact that global warming on California's water supply breeds undeniable urgency across the country, specifically in large arid areas like California. The effects of global warming are seen in dwindling water supplies and rising sea levels. According to a study done by Buchler in a Journal of Water Science and Technology, arid and semi-arid regions such as Southern California are specifically vulnerable to anticipated negative impacts of global warming, specifically on water resources. In other words, California's susceptibility to global warming is large part due to its semi-arid climate, rendering the effects all the more noticeable. Buchler's study also points out how global warming causes rising sea levels, which can hurt California's water supply due to saltwater toxifying freshwater supplies. And as of more California's freshwater is induced by saltwater within rising sea levels, the quality of surface water supplies will also decline, which will further dwindle the state's overall water availability. This reduction in water supply can be seen in the impact of global warming on the California's Sierra Nevada lakes. A 2018 article by UC Davis points out how global warming air temperatures are hurting Sierra Nevada's lakes, with summer air climates warming at a rate of 1.0 to 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit each decade. If we've noticed the rising sea levels and the dwindling lakes within California, this is a majority due to the effects of none other than global warming, an effect set forth by none other than our own doing. All in all, it's apparent that California's series of droughts are majorly due to the effects of global warming, and the root of these effects is no other than us humans, who consume, waste, and burn fossil fuels, which destroy our atmosphere and surrounding environment. With California's vulnerable semi-arid climate, these impacts have been exacerbated, highlighting the declining health of the natural world which surrounds us.